Welcome to the My Personal Football Coach Youth Soccer Player Development Podcast, episode 51 with Stefano Pasquinelli.
Welcome to mypersonalfootballcoach.com's Soccer Player Development Podcast. Discover all the secrets, hints and tips about soccer player development and soccer coaching from some of the leading figures in world soccer. Here's your host, Saul Isaksson-Hurst.
Hi guys, welcome back to another show. Sorry I haven't been released one for a while. Been busy with the My Personal Football Coach and Coaching Family webinar series. If you haven't yet, make sure you check that out. We're doing webinars every weekend during this lockdown period, and then all the webinars are also available on the Coaches Pass to watch back. Also did a really good one with Romeo Josat the other day, which is on the Inside the Academy YouTube channel. So you can check that out. But yeah, we're back and really excited about our guest this week, Stefano Pasquinelli, who's the head of youth, or the youth coordinator from 7s to 13s at Lazio. So great to have Stefano on the show, real privilege. First time I've had an Italian coach on the show, so great to get a bit of an idea about what's going on in Italy in terms of development, one of the biggest clubs over there, and some real key interesting points. Obviously he talks about ball mastery and 1v1 being real intricate and key to their methodology where he works and where he worked previously, so that's really interesting. So Stefano's got a lot of knowledge to share, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Got some big ones coming up. The next one is probably one of the biggest ones I've ever done, so really excited about getting that out ASAP. Lots going on with My Personal Football Coach. The club partnership goes from strength to strength. We've now basically developed the app, so what you can do if you're a club, not only can you log in and check the usage of the data, what you can do also is that you can also set the players' individual training plans for the week, or the team's individual training plans for the week. So any videos on the app you can basically assign to players' training programs. We've also got a leaderboard on the app now where players can compete against each other, who's been on the app the longest, a bit of gamification. So we've had so many clubs on board in the last couple of months. Obviously in this lockdown period we're supporting clubs all around the world, so don't forget also we've got a lockdown special with up to 70% off the club partnership at the moment. If you're interested in how My Personal Football Coach can take your club to the next level, obviously it's unique as well. Obviously, not only do we provide the app, but we provide the Coaches Pass as well as a free resource to all your coaches. So we support all the players and the coaches as well. So a real unique offering. There's nothing else like that in the world in terms of an app with technical development app with my background in coaching, but obviously then also something that supports the coaches as well. Quick one as well, and if you do enjoy the podcast, please do leave a review. It really does make a massive difference. We'd appreciate it. And finally, big shout out to VO cameras. We've been testing, well, before the lockdown period we were testing the VO cameras. Can't recommend this camera enough in terms of AI for recording games and analysing games. We've been using it with some of the grassroots teams we're associated with, some of our partner clubs, and the feedback has been fantastic. So really interesting. So if you can check out the VO cameras, we have had fantastic feedback from these this technology and software. So if you're looking to film the games at grassroots level, it's probably the best offering out there. So without further ado, though, looking forward to seeing you guys, or getting more podcasts out to you guys as much as possible in the next few weeks. And let's get into the show. So Stefano Pasquinelli, welcome to the show.
Welcome to everybody. Thank you Saul for this opportunity. I'm very honored to explain my experience here.
Thanks for joining us. Just can you give us a little bit of a brief background about your playing and coaching journey up to this point, please?
Yeah, so football is part of my life since I was 4 years old, and I played soccer until 40 years old, not as a professional football player. Then I wanted to realize my career in the sports, so I started with university in sports science. When I was there, I practiced in an amatorial team of my city for 2 years. Then I graduated in sports science about 8 years ago, and I had the opportunity to start many experiences inside the professional clubs. The first one was Atalanta, where I practiced for 3 years. Then I moved to Albino Leffe. It's a professional team that plays in Serie C, the third division. for 2 years, where I was a head coach of under 11 and under 13 teams. After that, I had the big opportunity to join with AC Milan, only for 1 year with under 11 team. And in 2017, I moved to SS Lazio, where I am the head of the academy from the under 7 to under 13.
Lovely, fantastic, perfect. So just tell us a little bit about then your first experiences in Atalanta. What was that like there? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I had a big opportunity to start with Atalanta's team when I was at university with a stage for 1 year when I followed the under 10s team on the pitch for the training and all kind of matches. The next 2 years, I continued the path with under 11s both. The players were 2003 and 2004 now. They are under 16 and 17s too. It was a great experience for me because I had the opportunity to follow the coaches, to know the method and improve my skills and knowledge inside one of the best teams in Europe in the youth sector. Their method is based on technical development. It's very easy to find in Italy an Atalanta players because they're very able in technical skills.
Interesting. So tell us a little bit more about that then, Stefano. What does that look like on the training pitch?
Yeah, they dedicate the first 30 minutes of the training on a technical skills in analytic way or situational to then report in a global situation. So start with 10-15 minutes on the ball mastery, then another 20 minutes in 1v1, 2v2, wow. 20 minutes in positional game of possessions, and a small side game for another 20-25 minutes, like 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, depends on the category. 20 minutes on the coordination, like movement without a ball especially, for another 20 minutes, and finish the session with a game 5v5, 7v7, 9v9, so it depends. In Italy, they were the first team that starts to develop with young players since 1990. They are the first.
So what do you mean by they're the first team to develop young players?
Yeah, because they put very big attention to recruitment and start with the youngest one. Since this year, they start with 8-9 years old. Not so usually in that period because like Milan, AC Milan, Internazionale, and the other clubs starts not so far.
Wow. So then tell us a little bit. But when you say they were the first ones to develop, you mean they said? I mean, what do they have? They have a lot of success then in terms of developing players.
Yeah, because they recruit the best players in their age. And in the last 10-15 years in Italy, you could find a lot of Atalanta players that start their path in the academy.
Okay, interesting. And then tell us a little bit about those first days for you. First of all, I'm interested. Was it different being Atalanta, the terms of the methodology there, and then also what you had learned at the Italian FA on your coaching courses? Was there a difference, or was it the same sort of philosophy?
No, it's the same. More attention, maybe with the technical and analytic way. They very dedicate a lot of attention on the ball mastery for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But before the games too, we train the ball mastery. And you if you come in Italy, you could find the Atalanta players. Now they changed their method. Is more like a global situation, game understanding, because so now is a little bit changed the method of the game.
Why do you think they change if they're having such success?
But I think if you have the best players inside your academy, and in the past there's no so difficult the coordination movement. If you could train since where he was 7-8 years old and until 15, 17 years old, you could have a big result in technical.
And so, I mean, and in terms of you as a coach, what were the main things you learnt from being at Atalanta? The main lessons you learnt from there, your first experience at an academy?
But I was very young. I was 23, 24, 25 years old. So for me, it's a very big experience on the approach with the guys, on the methodology, and try to learn and train these guys. It's very big opportunity for me.
So then tell us about Milan. How did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, it was a funny situation. I played an official match against AC Milan with my under-13 teams of Albino Leffe. And at the end of the match, the coordinator, that currently my director in Lazio, Mr. Mauro Bianchessi, come and made me some question about myself, about my job, my footballers ideas. That was the first contact, the first approach, and in July I signed my contract with them. I think that was one of the best team in Italy for organization, for the structures, and the players too. They started after the Atalanta, but they have a big investment to explain their program. So my life changed and my football talks too, because I had the opportunity to participate in several meetings, 3 every week, on Monday, on Wednesday and Friday, where we talked about the methodology, and for me it's very professional and important for my growth.
So he was watching your team play and was impressed, so then he gave you the job. Is that how it happened?
For me, it's it's very big important for me, because I had the opportunity to train an under-11s team that we have 24 players, very important players with technical ability, and so it's very...
Tell us then about how the methodology at Milan. Tell us about the methodology at Milan in the academy.
Yeah, we train only two times a week for 2 hours every training, but we play 2 different matches in the weekend, an official championship 9v9 and a friendly match or test match against another professional clubs. As Atalanta do, there were attention on a technical development, but the difference was the approach about the global situation and the attention about the game understanding. So they divided the pitch in 3 different zones, one of construction, the maintenance, and the finalization too, and try to transfer the situation and game principle inside these 3 different zones. Moreover, the approach from under 9 with the winning mentality, typical of the biggest club in the world. Wow.
So then tell us what a typical under 11 Milan session would look like.
But it's similar, because we start with ball mastery 2, 10, 15 minutes. Then in situational games, 1v1, 2v1, 2v2. A performance to like a movement skills and something just like that. And the difference was this: we try to report the small situation like 2v1, 2v2, 3v1, 3v2, 3v3 inside a specific area in the pitch. So the first days of the week we train the construction or the maintenance. And the second day we try to train the finalization, so they shoot on goal and a similar situation.
And tell us a little bit about recruitment at Milan. What sort of players do Milan like to recruit?
So in Italy, mostly in the north of region, there's a very rush to select the best players already from 7-8 years old. In fact, there's a large number of professional teams that base their programs on recruitment. I think that only one parameter is not enough to play a professional game. The futures are technical, physical, tactical, and cognitive. So sometimes in Italy they put too much attention on the physical characteristics, so they penalize the smallest players that are usually more technical than the other. This is one of the biggest discussion in Italy. When I was in Milan, we focus on the technical, but the physical and cognitive is very important.
My experience playing Milan when I was in academy football at Tottenham particularly and at Chelsea was they were always very physical, very big boys. Whereas Tottenham, we were very small. Chelsea is saying we're very big physically, but I remember Milan always physically very big, matured.
Yeah, but they're not the biggest one in Italy.
Who's the biggest one in Italy?
I think Internazionale, I think Atalanta too, and Juventus had a mix. There's a mix in AC Milan too, but some clubs look for the technical of the players or tactical cognitive features. And
tell us about your own experience. What were your main things you learned at Milan as a coach?
It's important because, as explained before, we have the opportunity to have 3 meetings every week with all the staffs of the academy and all the youth sector. So we try to speak to confront the method with other staff from the under 13, from the under 15, and there's a coach that had a big curriculum, the ex-players, and had the opportunity to learn a very huge information.
Okay, so tell us about then your move to Lazio. How did that happen?
Yeah, so in 2017, AC Milan changed its president, so I moved to SS Lazio with Mr. Bianchessi. Since 2017 too, I'm the head of the academy. So as explained before, I controlled from the under 7 to under 13. I changed my role. Basically, now I have to organize the season of the teams, select and train the staff, develop the technical program and methodology, monitoring the evolution of the players during the season, and select and recruit and select the players for the next season with the head of the scouting, and coordinate all the areas, technical one, goalkeeper, performance. Moreover, I am the coordinator. We have 2 different projects. One is Lazio Soccer School. It's a project that involves the local or regional clubs develop our program inside the region, and some other activities like tournaments, friendly match, and summer camp during the season. I'm also the coordinator of the Gold Project. It's a special project. It's a very big project reserved for the best 8 or 9 players of under 13 and under 14. Twice a month, they come to the sports center, usually on Monday, to develop their ability in different disciplines. They do specific training in technical skills, physical and postural program, martial arts, psychological and nutritional sessions, so they improve their quality and knowledge to try to become professional players. These integrate the normal activity that they practice during the week.
Interesting. So those players will get extra training because they are the best players.
Yeah.
So they're the players you think have the best opportunity to be professional.
Yeah, we think we try to select them. It's only 8, 9, but we think that is our future.
And how did the players react who are not in that group and the parents?
They had a lot of motivation to convince them that they had the opportunity to take part of this project.
Interesting. And so you manage the 7 to 13s.
Yeah.
And so what's the other managers in the academy? Does someone manage the 13 to the? Tell me about the other age.
17.
13 to 17.
17. That's my colleague, and there's Mr. Mauro Bianchessi, is a coordinator of all the youth
academy.
Yeah, all academy.
Interesting. Okay, good. So there's lots of interesting things to talk about there. So let's talk about what age you start to recruit players at Lazio.
So we start at 8, 9 years old. Basically, we focus on the best players in Rome and around the city, because Rome is a very big city.
What's the sorry to interrupt. What do you know? What the population of Rome is roughly?
3 million of people, 3 million and a half.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
It's a little bit different from Milan, because it's the smallest one and have a large number of little city and country inside around the city. Rome is biggest from respect Milan.
Okay.
So we try to focus our recruitment in Rome and around the city, and from the under 11 over, we expand the research in all the region. So in Italy, from the under 15, there's a possibility to select players all around the country.
So tell us about your recruitment then of the 8 and 9 year olds. What does that look like? Tell us about your development centre structure and that sort of thing.
Well, principal on the technical skills, because very young, and we focus our improvement in the technical skills.
And how many development centres do you have, for example, around the city?
We have 2 different development centres. One in north and one in south of the city. So we try to control all the city.
And what about how many? Do you know, sort of trying to get an idea of how many players you see each week in your development centres, or how big is the bottom of the pyramid there?
So we have 250 players inside it, with different match. So you can look a very huge number of the players. We start from the under 7. And our foundation is composed for 14 different teams. Our first goal is the selection of the best players, but we have 12 official scouts and many other collaborators in the region that take care of the teams and try to create a constructive relation with them. In Rome, there's a large number of teams, such as 1,000. So it's very difficult to control all the teams. But with the official championship, with the friendly match, with the scouts, you could try to have a control of all the city. Moreover, we have another 10 teams that we control directly. So in the territory, with our affiliation program, as explained before, Lazio Soccer School, something like 1,500 players.
Interesting. So the first team you recruit is your under 8s. Is that the first official Lazio team?
Yeah.
And so how many players, for example, did you take this season in the under 8 squad?
No, we look like we control the under 8 for the next season in under 9.
So under 9 is the first official season.
The first team, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so how many players are in your under 9 squad this year?
We have in under 9 in the first team we have 14, 16 players, and 8 come from our academy, and the other 7, 8 for external team.
So how does that work with the external team? So how?
Sorry?
So you have 9 players in from the academy and several players from a different team in there?
Yeah.
So why is that?
Because we find another players that not signed with them before.
So they're on trial, you mean?
Yeah.
They're on trial. Interesting. So tell us what a typical under 9 session at Lazio looks like.
So we divided the session in 4 different phases. One technical, one of performance, one situational, and one of the game or matches. The under 9 starts sometimes with the ball mastery for 10-15 minutes, and its application in 1v1 or 2v1 for another 20 minutes. The performance include the movement skill without the ball, jump, throw, catch, pull and push, so all the coordination for another 20 minutes. Then we report in a situational one, include possession like a rondos, 3v1, 4v1, 4v2, 2v2 and 3v3 small side game and specific situation inside the pitch. And finally, the game is based on match 5v5 or 7v7 for the last 25-30 minutes.
And so how many times a week do they train?
3 times a week for 2 hours, every training from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay. And so then tell us a little bit about the games program for the under-9s. So who do you play?
We play or 5v5 or 7v7, different in the championship in Italy. The championship, the official championship starts from the under-8, and we have to play against 1 years older.
Okay. But do you play other Serie A clubs? Obviously, Roma is in Rome, but any other clubs in under-9?
Not so usually.
Because but then, are they not in the championship?
Ranks, and Roma were put in one ranks and Lazio in the other one, because there's a derby is very high.
Yeah. I can imagine. I've seen it at the first team level, so I can understand it. Interesting. So you'll play local teams, but a year older in the championship.
Yeah.
And tell us about then how important is winning mentality at the under-9s?
Yeah, in this phase our focus is on the play and the individual development. The competitive starts at under 14, but it's important to create a winner mentality in our players, because they are professional players, and we try to transfer the importance and the quality of the sport, the fair play too. But so I've never seen a child that play to lose.
Absolutely.
It's also necessary to educate them to accept the defeat.
Absolutely. And I'm interested here because obviously you have 1v1 as a big part. Is that something you took from Atalanta as a big important part of with the 1v1? Yeah,
it's very important in Italy FA, because you could train all the ability, the conduction, the trick and skills, the defensive one, and so not only in the general situation, but we try to report them in a specific situation with the goal, with the goalkeepers, and in specific zone of the pitch, and it's important for us. Is that
important for the Italian Federation as well? Is that part of the coach education program, 1v1?
Yeah.
It is. Interesting. Okay, so tell us then about, for example, the under 12s. What does a typical under 12 session look like?
So the organization of the training session is very similar. The differences are the spaces and the number of players involved on the exercise. So the under 12 plays 9v9. So the session provides more possession, more ambiguous, more side game like 4v4, 5v5, more attention on the pass and receive ability and orientation inside the pitch. There's 1v1 too, but not so specifically like in the under 9. And we are more focused, so as explained, on the game understanding. The game is based on match 7v7 or 9v9, and the performance area we start to learn the change of direction speed, the core training, and the first approach about the strength program.
And how many times a week do they train, the under 12s train?
3 times 2 hours every training from the 3 to 5 p.m.
Okay, and when does that change then? When do academy players at Lazio start to train more than 3 times a week?
They change on under 15 because on the under 13 and under 14 they train 3 times a week, but they have 2 different championships, one professional and one with regional clubs. So they play 5 times a week, 3 training sessions and two matches.
Interesting. Okay, and then so tell us a bit about your formations. What formations does an under 9 team play in a 7v7, for example? What formation? So
7v7 is indifferent. like 2-3-1, 3-1-2. They have to respect the ability of the players. If we have two forward, we play with two forward. If we have a good midfielder, we play with only one midfielder. It's not important for us the formation.
And what about the under 12s when they're playing 9v9?
The same. The principle, we play with the principle, so the formation is not important. We play 3-4-1, 3-3-2, through 2-3-3 is not important. We look with the space and the time and space, and our principle, game's principle, like rational occupation of the space, recover the ball when you lose it, and many others.
So tell us a bit about then the style of play. What is the style of play of a typical Lazio team, academy team?
Yeah, we have to dominate the game. We want to have a possession of the ball, and we want to have an offensive game. Try to counterattack the adversary, and try to win the game, but with the game possession, and try to dominate the game.
Okay, and so how much time do you think you spend on individual technique, and how much time do you think you spend on group possession?
So as explained, 30 minutes on the individual technique, and the other part of the session is dedicated for a global situation. So we give to all the players during every week. We give them a specific program that they have at home. A little bit homework on the technical ball mastery that they easily do at home in the bedroom or somewhere.
So give us an example of that. What would be an example of that homework?
30 minutes of session of the ball mastery, and or something like coordination, individual training that they easily do at home.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so then tell us about positions. I'm interested in just how often do players change positions in the game, or do they have set positions? What age do they start playing a certain position at the club? So
during our pathway, when we are from under 9 to under 12, they change 2-3 different positions, like their attitude. So from the under 13, under 14 is more specifically like a midfielder. They maximum change one or two changes, central midfielder or lateral midfielder, or lateral offensive or lateral defensive. And in under 15 is another more specific position.
Okay, and how do you judge success in the academy?
So we differentiated 3 different phases. We evaluated the first one from under 12 to under 13, so from the foundation to agonist game, so the 11 football. The second phase is from under 14 to under 15, when they play a national championship game, and the last one from the under 17 to under 19.
Okay, and so then tell us a little bit about then the transition from under 12 to under 13. So yeah. Tell us about what sort of things the under the 13s and 14s and 15s are doing.
Oh, it's different the model of the game, basically. So they change the 9v9 to 11's football, and change a little bit the phase of the session.
But the methodology is same all the way through.
Yeah, the methodology is the same. Change the space, change the number, change the objective and the target, but the methodology is the same for all the academy.
And so what age did you say they start playing nationally against all the other Serie A clubs?
So they start, the first championship is in under 13, with play against Serie A, Serie B, Serie C teams. There are different 3 phases: a regional one, inter-regional 2, and the final 4, where the first 4 teams of different ranks comes from the playoff, and they play 9v9. In the under 14 is the same one, but like 11's football. And on the under 15, they start a national championship that is divided in 3 different ranks: North, Center, and South division.
Interesting. And do you do day release from school? Do children ever come out from school to train at the club?
No, during the week they go to school from Monday to Friday. Sometimes, rarely on Saturday morning too. So we start the training at 3 p.m. From 5 p.m. and during the weekend we play on Sunday morning.
Okay, and tell us how does the academy create a pathway to the first team for players? Yeah,
we put the players in the biggest condition to train. So we have another specific area, psychological, that involves player prepare the players for the next steps from the under 15 to under 17 and to under 17 to under 19. And from this season, we also create a specific formation program. That's name is Post-Career School, to inform the guys to other possibility if they will not have the chances to become a football professional players.
Okay. And what are your aspirations for the future, personally?
Personally, my biggest aspiration is to improve my skills in this role and try to transfer in all the youth sector. We have a long program here, and I hope to see some players that start in our academy make their debut in our first team or in Serie A.
And when you go and play tournaments around Europe,
yeah,
what are your experiences of different footballing cultures?
For us, we try to play different tournaments around the world, in Europe specifically, to try to have a match and try to speak and talk with other coach, with other staff, to try to learn and to improve with our methodology. It's very important for us, and the differences depends on the country. The England one or the Russia one, on the Spanish one is very different, but it's very cool to approach with them.
What's your experiences of English academy football?
They're very able in 1v1 and technical ability. It's very fast, it's very quickly, and we try to transfer your improving our academy too. I have the opportunity to stay last year in Turkish, where I meet the Manchester City, where I meet Chelsea too, and the difference is like the 1v1 ability.
And what about Spanish players? What do you notice about the Spanish players?
It's a little bit different because they concentrate their attention on the game understanding, the ball possession. They're very good on the technical ability, but it's a little bit different. It's more organization. Different in England academy is more concentrated in individual technical and individual ability. The Spanish and Italian are more concentration in there's more concentration in game understanding, the organization, the tactical. It's a little bit different.
And what's your thoughts on Italian football as a whole in terms of development? Is the future bright for the Azzurri?
Yeah, I hope. I think it's something will change in the next future, as already happened in the last years. it's necessary that we adapt our football culture to a new game model. We are able to transmit our ability in technical skills, but we have to change our approach in the individual ability and individual tactical, individual techniques. And so Lazio and Atalanta and many other teams are a great example of this change. We had a lot of possibility here. The football culture is very huge. It's important for our country. So we should be able to find the right way.
Because I always, when I was younger, I remember players like Baggio, Del Piero, obviously Di Canio, one of your guys. So always producing, flair number 10s. Why do you think maybe Italy hasn't produced these types of players recently?
The first thing I think is there are no the same guys. It's different the approach in the grassroots. I think the players don't play outside the normal program of the training, and the talent is not so usually to find outside our academy. And we have to put more attention on their ability.
So you think there's not much street soccer going on at the moment?
No, yeah. It's very different from when I was younger. I played 4 times a week outside my teams and 2 times with my teams. But the street soccer is very important for the ability, for the cognitive, for the all the situational game and creative game. So we have to recreate the same situation inside our academy, but it's not so easy.
So, I mean, I was going to ask you that. So you try to replicate that street soccer environment within the academy sometimes?
Yeah, we try to, but it's very difficult because we have not many time to replicate. We try to organize a little bit tournament, 2v2, 3v3 without rules, where the coach don't control them.
Interesting. As I said, just tell us a little bit about the 15, 16, 17s, the older players.
Yeah.
Do they have a set formation? Is there a formation at the club which you prefer, or is it again there's flexibility? What formation do they play in 11v11 game?
Oh, like all the academy, we haven't a specific formation. The importance is the ability of the players, and every team has different characteristics. So we play with 3 defendant or 4 line, 3 forward. It's indifferent for us, really. The importance is the players, because our goal is to bring the players from the academy to the first team, not the squad, the team.
Interesting. And tell us about what do you look for when you look for new coaches at the club? When you look to recruit coaches, what are you looking for?
They should have a big passion on the sports. If it's possible, they have to play in the past football. They have a good ability to learn to teach with the guys, with the baby, or with professional players. We try to look them during the season and try to find them, but usually try to create a path with our staff during our period inside the academy.
And so, what sort of stuff do you do for your coaches to develop them?
Sorry.
What's your coach education program look like?
Oh,
how do you develop coaches?
Yeah. We have a meeting every 2 weeks, and we try to approach with them with a different technical ability or tactical skills, and try to have a discussion about this, and try to grow our ability, our knowledge about this, and to try to define the lines that we have to create and perfect our methodology.
And what would your advice be to a young aspiring coach who wants to develop a career in the game? Your advice to a young coach who wants to be successful? Coach, yeah.
They have to study because football every year changes, and look, some players try and they're trial and error is usually like different years. Try to experimental games, experimental training. The importance is that they are able to transfer their knowledge to the pitch and to the players.
And how do you develop yourself?
I try to have a big background and try to observe all the situation. I try to receive the feedback for my head from Mr. Bianchessi, and try to change my ability to grow inside this academy, because our president have a big aspiration to create a big youth sector in Italy.
And I'm interested, how much influence does the federation have within the academy? Do they come and support? Do they visit? Do they consult?
Not so usually. They have a monthly, we have a monthly exchange of information, but it's not so easy that the federation comes to us and visit the academy.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because in England, similar, the federation here doesn't have much power. The Premier League run the academies. So the federation acts more like in coach education. So I was just interested in how it looked like in the Italian model.
No, it's the same.
And what about in terms of what age do players start getting selected for Italy, the Italian team, the federation?
From the under 15.
Under 15.
Under 15, yeah.
And the same then. And how often will players go and train with them at 15?
Yeah, I think it's all the Europe. I don't know, but I think it's in all the Europe it starts from the under 15.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, what advice would you have for a young player?
They have to dream, have to train, have to improve their skills, and try to become a football professional player. And it's a long way, it's very difficult, and I hope for everybody there's opportunity, but it's very for a restrict number of guys.
And what would your advice be to a parent of a young footballer?
It's very difficult for the parent, because sometimes they hope the guys become a players, but the importance for the guys is they are enjoy themselves and practical have a football training. The sports is very important for their growth.
Interesting. And how much work do you do with the parents at the club? Do you have a parent education program?
We have a specific program with our psychological area. During the season, we have something like 40 meetings with all the parents of the groups, divided from the different themes, like bullyism, like the hungry to play, and some many other themes.
And how to behave on the sideline? Do you help them with this when they're at the game? How to behave correctly?
Yeah, they try. They have to try, because we do this improve their ability, because sometimes the difficulty is not on the technical ability but the psychological ability.
Stefano, thank you very much. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much too, and thank you for these opportunities. I'm honored to stay with you.
Thanks for tuning in to the MyPersonalFootballCoach.com Soccer Player Development Podcast. MyPersonalFootballCoach.com's Dynamic Ball Mastery Program is the world's leading online individual technical training program, proven and developed at the highest level in the English Premier League. Sign up now to train like the pros and take your game to the next level. Master the ball, master the game.